Hi, I'm Holly Bourne. I'm the author of Am I Normal Yet? And welcome to the Rethink Mental Health Book Club. And today we are talking about my book, Am I Normal Yet? Which is about a girl called Evie who has OCD and examines the links between gender and mental health problems. And we're going to be discussing it in the happiest cafe in London, which is the Canvas Cafe, which just has the word my vagina written on the wall directly behind me.
Probably get asked this all the time, but how did you really get into Evie's sort of mindset?
And the first book had just been published and I went a little bit mad, and I hear that that was actually really common. I moved to London, and one of the main reasons I didn't like London is I got really badly sexually harassed, and that had never happened to me before. All this stuff happened and I just didn't cope very well. We called it the year of why is Holly crying in the bath? So I did with what I've always done, like to try and make sense of something that I don't understand. I just started writing.
Ask why, if you don't mind saying, why you were scared to read about OCD?
It's kind of almost an OCD thing in itself, but I don't want anything associated with it. And I suspect a lot of you will be familiar with this. So, if I've had a particular set of clothes, let's say a t-shirt, when I've gone through a bad episode, that t-shirt comes in my head, kind of contaminated t-shirt. I don't want it next to my favourite clothes.
Well, I've had OCD, I do have OCD, and I think you nailed that completely for me. It was years and years I spent on my own, basically not talking about it, and I always liken it to what it must be like to come out or something. And I think if there was a book like that, maybe there was, but when I was at school, if I'd read a book like that, that would be really helpful.
It is a book about relapse and OCD, but it is also about feminism. I really wanted it to not just be Evie has OCD and that's all she is. I gave him the character Guy, and there's some really clever readers on the internet who realise that because he's that guy.
Yeah.
Which I think, again, lots of teenagers have experience with that guy who never quite delivers on the fairy tale that you imagine in your head, but knows to do enough to keep you kind of following the carrot.
What made you decide to write about feminism and mental health together?
So I was quite a late developer, a late bloomer as it were, into feminism, and in terms of, I don't think I ever even considered myself a feminist until I was about like 24 and 25, and it was reading Cat and Moran, How to Be a Woman, like really opened my eyes. My mum always says all you need in life is somewhere to live, somewhere to love, something to fight for.
But what would you change or add to your past degree?
I just would go back and be like, oh, this is awful, it's terrible, I have to change it, so I just don't read them back. Whenever anybody asks for advice about writing, this is the one thing I always say is don't get it perfect, get it written.
Well, that's quite applicable to OCD altogether, as in because I'm continuously going through arguments and wanting to hold on to a safety blanket of, oh, it's got to feel right.
I think there's this idea that as an author we're like this blessed species who just sit and wait, and then this beautiful gift-wrapped book idea pops out of the sky, like at the beginning of Dumbo, like a stalk's dropped out, and all I have to do is like unwrap it and be like, oh, thank you, book idea, I will write you. And then like waft off. The only difference between me and somebody who wants to write a book but doesn't have an idea is I've learned when to realise I've had an idea. You get a bit of sand in an oyster and it like rubs, and eventually that's like what a pearl is. So every single book I've written because I was pissed off about something. That's how I find ideas.
I had a question about Sarah, the counsellor. My experience was so different to Evie's in the book. Like, my counsellor was very gentle.
I do think Evie to some degree is an unreliable narrator, because if you're a highly anxious person, very scared about a particular thing, there is no worse villain than the person who's trying to make you do the thing that you don't want to do. You hate them. And it's especially in that moment, and of course you're only ever seeing things through Evie's perspective, so you're only seeing what she chooses to reveal to you. I think it's page 91, and it's one where she goes on a massive rant about the, ooh, I'm so OCD because I like my pens in a straight line, and she's like, no you're not! And then she talks about the language of mental health, and people have focused in very much on how that is frustrating, that people are now using OCD to describe being neat and tidy, and that frustrates me a lot because I do think that it can undermine how debilitating it can be.